In this video, we'll discuss 6 harsh realities of setting boundaries with a narcissist. Knowing what to expect is essential, as dealing with a narcissist is never easy. Before we cover what the realities of setting boundaries with a narcissist are, let's quickly recap on what boundaries actually are. Boundaries are you deciding what behaviors from others are acceptable and what are not, and determining your reactions if someone crosses those lines. Boundaries aren't always constant across all people. For example, your family or best friend may be allowed to call you a pet name, but strangers are not. Your boss may be allowed to give you orders while strangers are not. You also need to decide if there is a second chance for the person or not. For some actions, you might call them out on their behavior and point out that you will not stand for it, such as making a joke at your expense. For other actions, you may impose immediate consequences, such as never trusting someone again if they break your trust by retelling a secret. In some cases, you might decide to cut them off completely and never talk to them again. So, boundaries are a combination of deciding which behaviors you find unacceptable and enforcing consequences when those boundaries are crossed. The first problem you may experience is that the narcissist will react emotionally or even violently. Narcissists believe they are entitled to special treatment and privileges and hate being held accountable for their actions. They also have a desperate need to feel in control and do not take kindly to being told what to do. You need to prepare yourself for possible shaming or guilt-tripping behaviors designed to make you feel wrong for setting a boundary. Some will try to scare you by going into a rage, breaking your stuff, or making threats, suggesting you will face consequences if you limit their behaviors. This may require you to enforce consequences not only for them breaking your boundaries, but also for acting out when you set boundaries. For instance, you ask them to throw their dirty clothes in the laundry basket, and when they don't, you do not wash their clothes. In retaliation, they give you the silent treatment. As a result, you decide not to make any food for them until they stop their childish games. Now yes, there may be a continuous escalation in the beginning when you first start setting boundaries. So it may be a good idea to start with small things and small consequences to help them get used to the idea of accountability. They will likely run through all the issues listed further in this video, which will result in them either eventually accepting your boundaries or ending up at issue number 6. The second issue you will face is that narcissists often act like toddlers in adult bodies and will try to find loopholes. Your boundaries and the consequences for breaking them need to be clear and specific. Any vague or ambiguous boundaries will give a narcissist the opportunity to manipulate and twist your words. However, also expect them to act according to the letter of your words and not the spirit. You may, for instance, tell them to wipe their feet before entering your house. They then take their shoes off, wipe their feet, replace their shoes, and then enter your house with dirty shoes, claiming they did exactly as you told them, and now you cannot punish them for dirtying your house. Or you ask them to pick up their clothes off a bathroom floor, and instead of throwing them in the laundry basket, they throw them in the bathtub and claim their clothes are no longer on the floor. You may need to treat them like a child if they act like a child, telling them that they know what you expect of them, and that if they try to outsmart your boundaries, they will face the same consequences as if they broke them. The third reality you will need to accept is that the narcissist is not going to give up. They will always push against your boundaries. For them, it's not just about the actions they can't do, but the fact that you are telling them what they can and cannot do, which they despise. They will test you from all angles to see if they can get away with something. For them, it can become a game to see how far they can push you and what they can get away with. This often goes hand in hand with the previous problem of finding creative ways to circumvent your boundaries, but it also takes things to the next level. For example, they may know that your aim in asking them to wipe their shoes before entering the house is to keep the house clean. So, they might spray water in the garden and have your dog run around in it, then let the dog enter the house. Now they claim it wasn't them while secretly laughing at you because they succeeded in dirtying your house. You may need to set boundaries where there will be consequences for doing things that they know will cause problems. They will argue and fight with you, claiming it wasn't their intention or that they didn't know something would upset you. But the truth is, they knew exactly what they were doing and what your reaction might be. Just like the law, there is no excuse for ignorance. If a narcissist wants to act childish or malignant, they need to know there will be consequences. Remember that setting boundaries with a narcissist isn't just about telling them what you expect. Narcissists often disregard words and react poorly to threats. Your boundaries must be consistently backed up with consequences that impact them in ways they care about. If they realize that crossing your boundaries has real consequences, they are more likely to think twice before doing so. The fourth problem is that anytime you are not consistent in the consequences they face, they will use it against you. Narcissists see kindness as something they can exploit. If you let them off even once, they will use it in an argument for why they thought they could get away with something and why you cannot punish them now, even if the two actions are not related. For instance, they show up 2 hours late to pick you up for shopping and claim they were so busy they forgot to call you about being late. You let it slide without any consequences or need for an apology. Then, the next week, they eat your lunch without asking. When you get angry, they claim, "How can you let me slide on such a big thing like being 2 hours late and not calling? Yet, you want to punish me for being hungry and eating your lunch without asking?" You also need to be consistent in the consequences they face or the escalation. If you told them that if their clothes are not in the laundry basket, they won't get washed, you cannot one week refuse to wash their clothes because they are all over the floor, and then the next week wash one item you know they need for the next day. That will just teach them that they still won't face severe consequences and that you will fix their problems for them. The fifth issue you will have to face and accept is that narcissists have low or no emotional empathy and often care very little about other people's needs, wants, or emotions, as well as how their actions impact others. Even if they are your romantic partner or family member, it may be painful to accept that they just do not deeply care about you. The issue this creates is that they will often do things not out of spite or malice, but simply because they did not consider how their actions would impact you or did not even consider your needs. They may, for instance, come home with a chocolate muffin without ever even considering to call you and ask if you also wanted one. Or they might get up late at night to make a sandwich for themselves, waking you up in the process. The thing is, you will need to parent them and distinguish between when to set boundaries and when not to. This often entails judging if it was just a lack of care and concern and will likely be a one-time thing, or if it was done with malice or is part of a larger pattern of behaviors that need to be addressed. If you set boundaries for every little thing that upsets you, the relationship will soon fall apart as you turn into a dictator who monitors and micromanages the narcissist's every move. You need to accept that if you want to stay with a narcissist or have a relationship with them, there needs to be realistic expectations on your side. They are never going to care as much as you want and are never going to consider your needs like you want. They just are not capable of doing it. Some battles are just not worth fighting if you want to win the war. The last issue you may need to face and accept is that some narcissists will never respect your wishes and accept your boundaries. They may not even attempt to change their behaviors and may care very little about any consequences they face. Some might even punish you back so severely that it isn't worth trying to hold them accountable. All narcissists want to some extent to control and dominate others. For most, it is to suppress their insecurities and make them feel special. But for some, the intoxicating feeling of being in control of others and dominating their lives as well as being able to do as they please without any consequences, is the main objective. Being in control may be more important to them than the relationship. You may need to accept that they are either going to walk all over you and do whatever they want, or the relationship is going to end, either by you leaving them or them leaving you. It is incredibly painful to realize and accept that someone who claims to love you, or who is supposed to love and care for you, does not see you as worthy enough to show any respect, and that no matter how much you love them, they are not going to change, nor will their opinion and care for you. This can be very hard to understand unless you know how they view their own actions, which you can learn more about by watching the video suggested to you right now.